Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk, is already out in digital formats. I've got a link down below in the description where you're going to get the best price on a physical copy in a way that will help the Verdigris table out a little bit at no additional cost to you. But if you support your friendly local game store, you can get this sweet alternate cover that I've heard described as a Mountain Dew fueled acid trip. And if that's not what you're looking for in a Dungeons and Dragons experience, then man, you might want to skip this adventure because things are getting weird. I've read this whole adventure cover to cover now, and my wheels have been turning. So in this video, I'm going to help folks out there set themselves up for success in transitioning into the Shattered Obelisk, which is a follow-up to Lost Mine of Phandalin, which was actually presented in this one in like a remastered format, but Shattered Obelisk picks up at level 5. In the process, I think I'm going to help those of you who are on the fence decide whether or not this one is for you. Whether you are running the original Lost Mine of Phandalin from the starter set or Dragon of Icespire Peak, or honestly just about anything else, I'm going to help you hook your players so deep that they are going to be immersed in this world and just invested in the game and eager for the next session to continue this story. This is actually the second video I am making on this adventure. Last time I talked about my hopes and expectations before opening the book and encouraged you to do the same because I think it's a great exercise to give yourself the room to imagine your ideal version of an adventure before you learn like the definitive answer. So I would check that out before this one because I do believe that can be a very helpful and productive practice. This video isn't going anywhere. You can pause this and open up a new tab. Whether you saw that one or not, I listed 5 hopes and was prepared to be disappointed. So let's take a look to see if Phandelver and Below comes through. The first thing I was looking at was an actual remaster of Lost Mines of Phandelver. Honestly, they did not change much, but we do get quite a bit of additional art, which is nice, and it will also be nice to have this beloved adventure in a hardcover version. I will say that they've added monsters and increased some, CRs of others, making the first 4 levels more challenging. I don't know if that's an acknowledgement of, nearly a decade's worth of power creep or a shift from, taking it easy on beginners because it was from the starter set, but either way, they've made things harder. Honestly, I'm not sure if they needed to, but it's always good to have options, and now a dungeon master can adjust things a little bit easier if their player characters are, having a hard time or just kind of breezing through this one. They made the owner of Barthen's Provisions and Rydoth the Druid into female characters. I don't have strong feelings about any of that, and I think it's telling that some people do, but I also don't really see why they made those changes. Maybe they just had art they wanted to use. They also made Darren Ettermath into a drow. This is a little more interesting to me. They're taking out half-elves, and I think that they're showing the players some drow, and by extension other, like evil-leaning ancestries and species can be negotiated with and even friendly. It may also, give some Drizzt fans a thrill. The second thing I was hoping for was more connections to the town of Phandalin. And while I see more, opportunities for clever dungeon masters to provide the players with relationships to important NPCs and locations, I do wish they went one step further with this one. Especially if you plan to carry this adventure through to level 12 and potentially beyond, or connect it to other adventures, more on that later, the player characters are going to need a reason, or in a perfect world, multiple reasons to keep coming back to Phandalin and to care about the people in this town. In my original series on Lost Mine of Phandelver, I really tried to stress how having the party and the players connect with Gundren out of the gate can be pivotal to a fulfilling story. Well, if we want to make this 3 times as long, they need to be connected to more than just that one dwarf to keep things running smoothly. I just did a session 0 for this last night with one of my groups, and I gave each player character a relationship to at least one important NPC or location in this town. If your primary reason for watching this is to find out if it's worth running this adventure, know that I am. Twice, in fact. One group is starting at level 1, one group is starting at level 5, because you can do that. I'm going to give the level 5 PCs even more connections since they won't be playing through the original Lost Mine of Phandelver. And in both cases, I am also making great use of the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation. We used this to build some awesome characters last night with motivations and origin stories and potential character arcs that are already starting to connect to each other and the grander narrative. Everybody also got a friendly faction they have dealings with, and an additional NPC in town they know and trust and who might prove useful. And for kicks, I did hand out magic items as well. All of these clicked because they were based on the character backgrounds the players had chose. And actually, out of the 30 entries we got, there was actually only one that we re-rolled because it didn't quite fit the character, and it could have, but we went for a better one. The players really enjoyed it. I had a ton of material as a dungeon master to make things happen and keep things relevant now, and I gained more playtest experience with the compendium to make it even better for you. This is about to launch on Kickstarter, and I didn't mention half of what's in there, let alone the stretch goals, so definitely worth checking out. I did a deep dive on the Blank Slate podcast. Links to that video, where links are going. Awesome to see an experienced world builder test it out in real time. He also called me the king of Phandelver, so, I mean, yeah, it was awesome. Go watch that. We're far enough along now in this that I'm going to talk spoilers, so consider yourself warned. All of these NPC connections are important, and I'll be looking for opportunities to strengthen them and build more throughout these early levels, because at level 5, where the new material kicks off, the people of the town start changing, and a bunch of them end up taken hostage, and a new NPC shows up who's pivotal to the whole plot. This new NPC is a dwarven historian named Gwyn Orsong, and the PCs are basically going to need her help to solve some mysteries here and figure out where to go next. So I would recommend not having her show up at level 5, kind of unannounced, but at least mention her earlier and even have a PC have a built-in connection to her. Her sister is hanging out in the tavern and drops her name, but as written, that's really it until she shows up just in time to do some hand-holding. Also, Pip, the son of Toblin Stonehill, and Ander, who is a clerk at Barthen's and a tiefling bartender at the Sleeping Giant with the awesome name Wheel of Fortune, are also going to be important in later levels, but are mentioned barely or not at all in the first leg. I suggest you keep an eye on Halia Thornton and Sister G, who are in the original, and stay relevant through the later levels. My plan is to be ready to swap and merge any and all of these roles to make sense based on who my players really connect with, and I encourage you to give yourself the freedom to adapt anything to suit your purpose and to make your game better for your table. That's why I made that first video before this one, and in there, the third point on my wish list was strong cosmic horror vibes, and we get that one big time. There's some crazy stuff in the latter half of this book, and it does keep ratcheting up from Underdark to Far Realms. Can an imaginative DM with a little bit of talent do even more? Of course. That's why we love this game. But if you want an adventure that is delivering that like Lovecraftian cosmic horror, or you were looking for the closest thing to Stranger Things we've seen out of 5e, I think this is it, gang. I mean, I told you I dropped everything, and I'm doing this one twice over. Now, I got buy-in from my players, not only because we are switching systems and, leaving some other stuff unfinished for now, but because there were some really powerful body horror and like existential dread type things in this book, and consent is going to be key this time. Hey guys, there's a table in here for all the changes the town is going to start going through as shit gets weird. Do I have your permission to use this other one where crazy eldritch mutations start occurring to the characters you're controlling? How about, adding some of my own insane abominations to that one? So yeah, if you are running Lost Mine of Phandelver for your kids, maybe Shattered Obelisk is not for you. Because, even without transforming into abominations and, turning down the doom and gloom a bit, the monsters and some of the settings in here are nightmare fuel. I'm into it, but, I'm running for adults, and still, I made sure everybody was on board. I am not only got buy-in, I built excitement, and dodged potential problems in the future in the process. I was looking for a slow but steady transition, connecting the old material to the new material, and there's a bit of that, but I just want so much more. The NPC connections and utilizing the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation were key to that, and we talked about that first, but I'm also going to make a couple recommendations here to further build that transition if you are starting from level 1. The rumors of the weird goblins with like elongated skulls and glowing hands is about all we get in the book as breadcrumbs, so lean into them. I wanted cool psionics, and I feel like we get them as much as we can, without changing the bones of the game. I would also recommend in those early levels that you hint at, don't come out and say, but hint at the locations of at least some of the pieces of the shattered obelisk that are in town and are going to be important. Again, spoilers. But the winch in the well behind Barthen's provisions, where the water seems to be giving Anders nightmares lately, as well as the cornerstone of the Miners' Exchange, where Halia works, and the keystone of the archway in the Shrine of Luck, where Sister G is, and also embedded in the bar in the Sleeping Giant, where the drinks are tapped against it for good luck and have been giving some wicked hangovers, to say the least. If the PCs visit any of these locations in Phandalin before level 5, mention these weird stones. Bury them in the description if you want. If the players investigate, they notice among the other salvaged stones that most of this town is built from, these pieces look very different and weird, hard to identify. If you're running a different town or homebrew, whatever, put those stones in there somewhere, because psionic gerblins come and snatch them up, launching the rest of this adventure at level 5. And, as written, this is all happening while the player characters are down in Wave Echo Cave, but there are also still gerblins running around town when they get back. And this is a little more advanced DMing, perhaps, but I'm going to run this as all happening at the same time when the player characters are in town. I want to incorporate some downtime between Lost Mine and Shattered Obelisk anyway. You let the story breathe, get the players a little more invested in town in the meantime, but I'm going to have this like crazy gerblin attack happening simultaneously, way more action that way. Now, also for setup work, you should know that not only are these 4 pieces of the Shattered Obelisk going to be taken, the gerblins also kidnap a whopping 14 people from town. These are all new NPCs that only get named when they're actually found later in the book, but come here, listen. Wouldn't it be more effective if some of the NPCs we got the players to care about already, using the compendium at character creation during play, maybe because the players make some choices during the game, maybe a bit of both? Wouldn't it make more of an impact if some of these people were the ones carted off to these Underdark locations and beyond? I'm just saying, wouldn't that up the stakes a bit? That was actually the last thing I asked for in that last video, an adventure that felt important and, like worthy for closing out Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and ushering in the new whatever is happening for the 50th anniversary. Am I going to try to add more and show the players, consequences of their characters' actions, good and bad? Absolutely. I love that stuff. But I am very happy to report that some of it is in here to start. Not only is this like a potentially world-ending threat that plays out on a scale small enough the players can really feel it and connect with it, we get instructions in the latter parts about what happens if the PCs fail to achieve their goals. There are also escalating changes to the town of Phandalin and the player's characters as the story progresses, if everyone's on board, and how many of the pieces of the Shattered Obelisk they recover and what they do with them actually makes a difference to the way the finale plays out. That is good game design, gang. Credit where credit is due. I would love to hear your thoughts out there on this one, or see any questions you have about the Shattered Obelisk down in the comments. I am running this, so I will probably have more to say down the road about it, and maybe we'll do like a Q&A type thing soon with your questions. In the meantime, it is all systems go for the compendium. If you've enjoyed this channel and would like to support it, please come join the Kickstarter and help us spread the word. The more of us who get involved, the more of this awesome, explosive creation there is going to be. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for watching. Be kind, have fun.